Hello, everyone. This is Now's FPL or FPL Nows. It's a pleasure to finally be able to show myself to everyone that has been following my content. And I really want, first of all, use the opportunity to say thank you to everyone for sharing, for following, for liking, and reposting. I promise that I'll keep bringing more content your way. And, let's just really aim high and hope that our FPL will go amazingly great. Well, this game week has a lot of interesting topics and conversation, including who to captain, differentials to own, and what you can likely do about all those player injuries and suspensions that are likely on the horizon, as well as what chips you should use if any there are any viable chip strategies for this game week or even going forward. So I'll be going by fixture analysis and giving my breakdown of what I think about each fixture and players to target, players to avoid, and basically the key decisions to make for FPL Gameweek 11. So let's start with the first fixture. If you play FPL very well, you know that early kickoffs are somehow like dreadful because Gandhi's law, and you don't want to probably captain someone who's playing the first match of the early kickoff. But leaving all that aside because it's really not been happening this season, let's look at the fixtures. The first fixture of the game week is Spurs versus United. Injuries or injury doubts about Kudus, and the uncertainty about players in both teams actually. That's Richarlison or even the other forwards for Spurs like Matistel and Kolomani. But for Man U, you also beg the question: who the top strike? Would Sheshko lead the line, or would it be Cunha? Would it be a double pivot of Cunha and Mbeumo in the 10? But I think for this fixture, Spurs will always be Spurs, and I honestly would avoid having their assets because they can just at any time disappoint you, and there's really no standard asset to have because, like I said, the doubts over Richarlison's minutes, Kudo's injury is currently flagged, and Spurs just being Spurs. I actually think Man United will win this game. I wouldn't buy Bruno Fernandes because I keep saying it over and over. I don't like how deep he's playing. I fancy Mbeumo more. Mbeumo just won the Player of the Month for October, so I fancy Mbeumo more, and he's really been ticking along. And Spurs will actually come out attack. Van de Ven owners, sorry, I think he's going to blank this fixture. Same way any other Spurs defensive assets, if probably anyone still has them. Up next is Everton versus Fulham. I really envy Ndiaye owners. I kick myself in the butt every time that I actually sold him for Gordon. I think that was Gaming 6. But I don't want to dwell on that too much. But Ndiaye owners, if you have him, he's like probably a mainstay in the team because he's just ticking along nicely with points, sometimes from DEFCON, sometimes from scoring or just returns. He's just that great kind of player. I prefer him to Grealish, and I'll definitely still keep him if I have him. This fixture is actually difficult to call because Everton can be very defensive and very drab in their play style. So you don't know if maybe you'll probably end up like in a goalless draw or maybe like a 1-0 draw. So apart from India, even from the Fulham assets, I don't really fancy anyone. I mentioned Sessegnon last week and he actually ended up scoring huge. But not this game week. Anderson, should probably get DEFCONs because of the way Everton play. And I think he's actually a good one for I don't know if there'll be a clean sheet, but yes, I fancy him to do well, at least in this fixture for DEFCONs. Next is West Ham versus Burnley, and you have to ask yourself: is Nuno's new manager bounce finally taking effect? I think so. The results have been probably a little bit of mixed bag, but I think it was expected. He needed time to bed in his ideas. But again, I think the only asset that appeals to me is still Bowen. He was unlucky not to have really scored huge versus Newcastle last week. I really don't fancy anyone else. I don't really fancy Paqueta because I feel like there are better options and the fixtures are like not so appealing. Burnley can be Burnley and concede a huge amount of chances and goals. So yeah, as a differential this week, Bowen is definitely someone to even look at as even a differential captain. If you're looking for probably like a third striker spot or maybe even a second striker spot, if you probably don't have Mateta or João Pedro, or you're looking for a replacement for Gyökeres if the injury news are true, then yes, Bowen is a good 1 week punt as a differential captain. So yes, I would recommend Bowen for this game week. Sunderland versus Arsenal. Arsenal have been immensely good defensively. They've kept is it 8 clean sheets in 10 games, or I can't remember what the exact record is off the top of my head, but they've been really great defensively. And by now, I think the big question has always been: is it worthwhile investing in their defenders or their attackers? I think I would still pick the defenders, to be honest, because DEFCONs make them more appealing. Easily they can get 12 pointers, or 10, 11 if they hit the DEFCONs. I know Timber has not been really doing that, but the upside of Timber is his attacking side, which he has a very, very good chemistry with Saka. So yes, maybe if you don't want to double up, at least you need Gabriel. Like, you really need Gabriel. He has been a DEFCON monster compared to Saliba. So I would have at least Gabriel, and then probably I'd consider Rice, because he's also, he has decent DEFCON ability, as well as the occasional goals he scores, and then the huge potential from getting assists, because he's the corner taker, or one of the corner takers for us now. So yes, I think the Arsenal assets, if you want to even double or triple up on them, that's definitely viable, and definitely like something I would look to do. So, but there's that fear. Will they consider? I honestly don't think so. They're just set up very well, and they are just like, there's just this thing about when you're in form and you have the confidence on your side, you keep churning out great results. So now definitely City to probably long throw or all that. I don't think that would work for us now. They're very good defensively. So at least you need to have one or two defensive assets, and then probably pair it up with Rice or maybe Saka, because it's the pentaker. Like, if Gyökeres is even after start mixing him, even more appealing to own. But I'll still go for the Arsenal double up. Would I own Raya? No, because I just feel like he's too expensive and he's not really making saves, so it's just going to keep giving you like probably 6 pointers every game week. So I would not own Raya for the foreseeable future. I believe they're better keepers and better value also. Chelsea versus Wolves. João Pedro scores finally after blanking for 5, 6, 7 games. I'm talking about all competitions now, but in the Premier League, I think he blanked like for 5 games in a row. Should you buy him? I mean, he's really getting a lot of transfer ins this game week, and you can understand why, because their next 2 fixtures are against Wolves and Burnley, so it's viable. But this is a word of caution. First, you have to look at the fact that Liam Delap is back, and João Pedro has played a lot of minutes, so it's definitely not beyond thoughts that Maresca might decide to give him limited minutes or fewer minutes. So I definitely would not buy João Pedro. In fact, he was very wasteful in the last game, which just buttresses the point about how poor of a player he is. He had 3 or 4 big chances, and he wasn't able to. The one he even scored was basically a gift that was given to him on the platter. So I prefer Enzo. Enzo was very unlucky not to return in that Tottenham game. He gave João Pedro one big chance, which he squandered, and he was taking up very good positions. He was drifting into the 10 and into the box. So I fancy Enzo Fernandez this game week. I'm still not sure about the Chelsea defense, but it's Wolves. I don't see them probably troubling Chelsea too much, and I don't think they would really have any new manager bounce. They don't have any manager yet. Then when you look at their assets, they're still very. They have like a lot of missing assets. Abadu is suspended for this game, so they are going to be even more weaker defensively. So definitely not for me. I wouldn't put it beyond Chelsea to score 4 or 5 goals. But the only asset that appeals to me is Enzo. So maybe if you want to take a punt, I think if Pedro Neto starts, he could actually have a very good game, because Wolves are just that bad. Aston Villa versus Bournemouth. Aston Villa will be very tired. I don't care if it's a Sunday fixture, they'll be tired. In the way Bournemouth plays just suits this kind of fixture. Villa will play with a high line. It suits Semenyo perfectly, and he's actually even a differential captain this week that I would consider, compared to probably Haaland, but we'll get to that later. So if you're looking for, you want to go against the crowd, and you're feeling very brave, like I said last week about Gabriel. I mean, Haaland did outscore him, but was just by 1 point. But I believe that Semenyo would actually have a very good game. He has been blanking, but when you look at the strength of the fixtures and certain match scenarios, it's expected. But this fixture, I definitely see Semenyo having a very huge score. So yes, I even fancy Bournemouth to win the game. Villa, you don't know what's up with Watkins, Rogers inconsistent, several uncertainties in several places. So not for me. Like, I wouldn't look at anyone else to own from this fixture. Brentford versus Newcastle. I have to say, Newcastle have been disappointing from an attacking point of view. I owned Gordon for quite a while, and it's just been terrible. Now it's flagged and it's out for the fixture. So if you have Gordon, I'll probably say sell to Enzo or someone else. I'll get to probably likely targets to replace someone like Gordon with. Voltemade has been, disappointing recently. Ellis Hobbs not returning. And I think that trend will continue this game week. He was good to have for a certain period of time, but I don't think right now he's like the best second striker to have besides Haaland. I think there's a better option with Mateta. So I wouldn't probably even fancy any Newcastle assets. I don't think they would probably consider again. They've just been disappointing. And you don't know if maybe their focus is on Europe or something else, but I really don't fancy any Newcastle assets, to be honest. None at all. Yes, Crystal Palace versus Brighton. Mateta in everyone on the bandwagon. Yes, Mateta is just it's just great. I think he's actually very, very, underrated. He's actually one of the the strikers that I really like a lot in the EPL. Some penalties. He's the main man. He's a good finisher. He has a huge amount of chances presented to him. So yes, he's actually also a consideration for a differential caps in this game week. Brighton will always give up chances. They play very expansive attacking football, which makes it easy to catch them on the counter or score a few goals against them. Yes, especially when they meet quality opposition. Munoz, where he Palace defensive assets are also good to hold because they are good for defcons and good for attacking potential. Like Munoz has been great attacking wise. Same thing with Guehi. He's also good for defcons. Brighton, Welbeck has been taken along like snake, but you would probably, as an owner, start him only because you have him and there are really not any other glaring options to. But I genuinely feel Welbeck will blank again this game week, sadly. So yeah, even I fancy Palace to win the game comfortably. Yes, Forest versus Leeds. Is Sondage going to finally have a big Premier League win? The answer I think is yes. That's because of the way Leeds play. Leeds really give up those chances. So if I was to consider someone from Nottingham Forest, I think I would go with Morgan Gibbs White. He has been taken along not too well, but I feel like Leeds will give the chances for him to score. Um, then I fancy Forest for the win. I even fancy them to have a clean sheet. So yes, I think if you have sales and you've been thinking of selling him, maybe you should just keep him for this game week. Um, if if worst case scenario he concedes, he will definitely make a lot of saves. So I fancy Marcel's this game week and Forest as well. If Igor Jesus also is the starting striker, I fancy him to have like a great return. Yes, to the big fixture of the week, City versus Liverpool. Um, will Haaland finally blank again? Difficult to tell, but I really, some stats that when he plays Liverpool, he struggles. Van Dijk seems to have his number, but this is not the same Liverpool defense, and this is not the same Van Dijk of yesteryears. Plus, the form Haaland is in, I would never back against him when he's just in that great scoring form like he had in his first season. I don't see any logical reason to back against him. So if you have him and you want to captain him, yes, captain him. He might not have a mega or he might just score one goal, which maybe dents his appeal compared to probably like other differentials like Semenyo or Mateta, who I fancy to score way higher. But if you don't want to, be risk averse, or you want to like just be on the careful side or be a boring FPL manager, yes, Captain Haaland. Salah has a very great record in this fixture. So if you somehow still have Salah, I probably won't say I prefer him as a captain option to Haaland this game week because he'll definitely get more points as a midfielder than Haaland would as a striker for goals scored. So this fixture will have goals because I don't see them settling for a boring draw. They're already falling behind Arsenal, and one of them would like really want to come out and get a win. So this game will have goals. Um, the uncertainty about Gakpo dents his appeal for this fixture. There's a lot of talk about Szoboszlai being a differential, but I don't think I would buy Szoboszlai because I don't think he just has that ceiling. It's not that player that would probably have double digit returns like a lot of times compared to someone like maybe like a Rice or Sa. Not really because Sa has been disappointing. Sa of Crystal Palace. But let me use Mbeumo, Semenyo. Those are like more appropriate options. But I really don't think buying Szoboszlai is like worth it. I'd rather look for the extra 1 million or even 2 million to get Semenyo or other assets. Or if you're looking for assets in his price range like Enzo Fernandez, I prefer those people. So yep, that's it. Here are my top five differentials for the week. Number one is Pedro Neto. Number two, Tavernier. Number three, just as a differential captain, Semenyo. And number four, I would say Jacob Murphy of Newcastle. Differential captains, like I've said all along in my video, Mateta, Semenyo, Enzo Fernandez, and Mbuemo as an outside shout because Spurs are just Spurs. That'll be all for this game week. Thank you very much. Thank you for following, for liking my content, for resharing, for all that you do. It means the world to me. Kindly subscribe and share my videos. Follow me on X. And I pray that we all have an amazing game week and our arrows are green.